G'day YouTube, Turbo Tristan here. Today we will be doing kind of an eBay turbo, kind of not. Let's be honest, most of the parts were purchased from eBay. But we're going to be doing another turbo build on an EK Civic with a stock D16Y4, which as most of you know is the most popular, or maybe not popular, but the most common engine in an EK Civic in Australia and most parts of the world. So stick around, there's a lot of challenges in this build. It's not your average rip everything out, slam on an eBay turbo and off you go build. This one, the challenges are keeping all of the factory aircon, and we don't have a lot of room. So grab some snacks and come along for the ride while we turbo this EK Civic. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. It's a little bit windy today. I do have my GoPro sock on, so hopefully that muffles some of the wind. But we're back at it. One of my most popular videos was an eBay turbo kit, and I showed you all about the dangers and risks involved in buying an eBay turbo kit. This build is slightly different, although it is an eBay turbo intercooler kit. And we do have some parts, as you can see there, from eBay. That's actually a sump gasket, which we definitely need. Also, a lot of them came from Max Peating Rods. That's a friend of the channel. Shout out to Macy, she's always helping me out. We've got a few things in the works. Soon, I'll be looking to develop my own eBay turbo kit, which will be, for the most part, pretty well legal and sleeper kit, which will allow you to keep your aircon, which is a major bone of contention with everyone. They have to rip out their aircon, and a lot hotter places than Melbourne, Victoria, so you do need it most places in the world. So we're going to try and keep that. I'm also developing a stealth intercooler kit that'll fit behind the bumper with minimal to no cutting, and we're going to be using all of the Max Peating Rods parts. Now this part list, I sort of gave a few recommendations to the owner of the car and said, this is what we're going to need to get everything happening. He's provided a couple of extra bits, which is the oil cooler kit. We've got a SAS fuel pressure regulator, which is the same as the one that I have on my car. So I'm gonna have to hook that up. This manifold is a 1320 low mount with aircon manifold. It does have the external wastegate port there, but we've blocked that up. We will be using a T3 T4 with an internal gate. The reason we're going internally wastegated is in Australia, if you have a screamer pipe on your turbo car, it is a massive, massive fine from the EPA. They can crush your car, they can fine you up to $10,000 just for letting exhaust gas vent to atmosphere. So we're going to have all that plumbed back by using an internally gated T3 turbo. That's why we've blocked that off. Yeah, we could have chopped the manifold and welded that up, but who knows what the future holds. That's an expensive manifold, so that's a 1321, very high quality, so we don't want to chop it up, so we just put the blanking plate there. eBay intercooler kit with the really, really good piping kit with the really, really poxy intercooler. I don't like that, it's too thick and too narrow. Bit of an oxymoron, but it's too short height-wise and too thick width-wise. They could have done it the other way around. Things would have fitted a lot better. It also doesn't come with any brackets. So I'm going to have to make those again, which sucks, but I might swap that out for a different Max Peating Rods intercooler and see how we go. The turbo is your standard T3 T4, so a T3 exhaust flange with a T4 front compressor. So that'll be great. We're going to try and run under 10 PSI, maybe around 5 to 7 on this car. We have a turbo blanket. We have a flexi joint. All of the fittings here for the oil lines, oil cooler lines, oil feed line, V-band for the exhaust flange, O2 bung. We're going to block off the blow-off valve so we get the flutter sounds. Really good intercooler kit. I actually tried to buy one for my project that I'm making, but sold out, so we'll see how that goes. And yeah, this is the car. It does have some mods here. It's a little bit questionable, but you got to do what you got to do. Used the factory air intake with a shield over a pod. There's some kind of vent going on down here. It does have an aftermarket radiator and a catback exhaust. Car's also got some really cool red 6-spoke alloys on it, tinted windows, and it's my favorite, a sedan, which means you get the tacho, you get the brakes, disc brakes on the rear, you get the big brakes on the front. Of course it's a manual, you wouldn't waste your time otherwise. But yeah, fairly clean car, showing its age. A little bit of wear on the roof there from the paint, but that's what makes this a sleeper. Now I've got to set up, put all of this stuff away and get to work pulling the car apart. First thing you're going to need to do is jack up the car, remove the front bumper, and then it's to work starting to remove the exhaust manifold, all of the intake and all of that sort of stuff. That sort of thing shouldn't take too long. Then we've got to dummy up this manifold, which is absolutely fantastic. We'll be seeing more of that soon. Very high quality, great welds. One day I hope to be that good. We will need to spin and clock the turbo, fiddle around with that, place it in and out. It's going to come in and out a few times. Let the games begin. So first step is to take off the bumper. I probably should have loosened the wheel nuts first, but that's what rattle guns are for. There's some screws under here, bunch of clips along the front, another screw there, and then underneath here, if they're all still in place, most of them have been taken off a few times, just some screws underneath there, and then that comes off. That's going to make things a lot easier for me to work on. After that, I'll be taking off the air intake. So it'll be the 10 mils here, Phillips head. This is all going to come out. We're going to take out this stuff. There may or may not be, probably not, a resonator box under there. So all of that's going to come out, come off. Then exhaust manifold. So I'm going to spray some WD-40 on that to help loosen up all the rusty spots. Same on the O2 sensor and all the way under there. So I'm going to make that all stinky. Firstly, let's check out under the car. I did notice there was an oil leak. Yep, there it is. And hopefully that's just off the sump gasket, which we're going to replace anyway. So I'll degrease all of that. It's quite a bit of oil underneath, flicking around everywhere. And then we've got to make a exhaust system. So we're going to go back here to the cat. So that should be sweet. All this is coming off. Little piddly little exhaust. Now, hopefully the turbo sits sort of down here and away from all of this stuff, and I don't need to trim too much. I've already checked with the owner. I can trim this down. It's not going to affect too much, and I can trim this a bit if I need to. But the object of the game is to not trim anything and see how we go. All right, so everything's out on the exhaust side, and it's the first time we're going to try it. Stick this in there. It's going to be tricky with one hand. Well, hopefully the look on my face says it all. We found another problem with buying parts to turbo D16s. Far out, they make it so hard. Ugh. This is a PLM manifold, I believe. It's the 1320 brand, so you see this brand everywhere. It's a genuine manifold. A friend of mine bought it for quite a lot of money. I'm gonna say between $1,000 and $2,000. It didn't fit where he wanted to use it, so he sold it to another friend, which is the customer of this car. The exhaust has been removed. I've lined up everything and it's sitting on there. I realise this isn't obviously where it's going to go, but if you look down here, you can see this manifold is supposed to support a T3 flange turbo and an external wastegate somehow, and keep the air conditioning, which it's absolutely impossible. So even if I do take off this shroud, sink the turbo down, put a slimmer fan on, or put the shroud back on, chop the shroud up, there's going to be no room for a T3, T4 turbo, or any size turbo. Even a T25, a little baby, wouldn't even fit in there. If it did bolt on and go on, the compressor would be here in place of the radiator. So most people, their 20-year-old Civic's blown a radiator, so they've got one of these in there, so it's not the radiator's fault. The air conditioning down here, it's going to have to go. All of this is going to have to go. You're going to have to run a small quarter size radiator just to fit a bloody turbo on there. And the thing that upsets me the most is this is a really expensive manifold. These have been custom fabricated, designed, then mass produced over and over and over, sold thousands of these things, and there's no chance that's going to fit. Most common engine, most common chassis, you see this everywhere, and no chance will that fit. So I've unpacked all the gear, I've pulled all the bumper off, pulled the exhaust off, I was about to dismantle the air intake, and now I've got to put it all back together so the bloke can take his car, which, you know, I feel so bad for the guy. We've been planning this for weeks, got everything sorted and organised, and today was the day. We were going to have most of this buttoned up today and tomorrow, and then it would take me a couple of nights throughout the week just to finish welding up the exhaust. Quite intricate, and you know, 2-3 hours a night. Not the best fastest welder, so take my time with it, do it right. But no, we got to put it all back together, which brings me to another thing, I guess. I get quite a few messages from people asking me if I do mechanical work or if they can pay me to do work on their car. The answer is yes. Yes, you can. I don't want to be doing timing belts and water pumps on 20-year-old Civics because I'm not a mechanic, and two, that is a long, hard, dirty job. Because I'm not a mechanic, I don't charge much at all. Very cheap. Half of the price that you would pay at a workshop. Having said that, for me, after work in the freezing cold middle of winter in Melbourne, it's just not worth it, guys. So if I was going to do basic servicing stuff, which I'm not, I'm interested to help everyone out with their turbos, their performance builds, performance brakes, performance suspension, performance exhaust, manifolds, intakes, all that sort of stuff. It's fun for me. I really enjoy it, and it's not rocket science, and it's not super easy, and it's not super hard. Sorry, it is fairly easy. So yeah, that's the answer. That went around in circles a bit, but yes, I will do work on people's cars, customers' cars, for cash on the side. Always grinding. However, I'm not a mechanic, and these would be projects I would do either on my weekend or after hours during the week. So, you know, stuff like timing belts and water pumps, clutches, drive shafts, all that sort of stuff, best off take it to a mechanic. In and out in a day. You'll have your car back in a day. It won't take a whole week of me doing it in the dark at midnight, so best off to do that. Things like this, fun projects, I'm happy to help out anyone. Mates rates. But I'm going to put all this back together and be real grumpy about it. So you don't want to see that. So don't forget to like, share and subscribe, spool up, and I'll see you in the next video. I've got a really exciting project for you guys. Can't wait to unveil it. Once I get this one out, I might go grab it and bring it back here because it's just so cool. You're all going to love it.